think this is very telling. You'll notice that with the TikTok thing, there's all these people writing in to say, yes, Corrine, I saw Musk's Nazi salute. We showed it earlier in the show. It's not surprising at all. And yeah, that'll probably eat they'll make T-shirts of it on the right, but it'll eat up the news cycle for a little bit. It's all propaganda. Jimmy Dore Show. China makes all our stuff, so why do we hate them? China makes all our stuff, so why do we hate them? Sorry, so let's just let me spitball. Let's say someone kidnapped you and they kept you in a basement and they brought you all your food and the bucket you shit in. So why do you hate them?
Hey, come see us on tickets on onlyjimmydore.com.
I always make jokes about this. So you're saying they don't use
Well, they're not really jokes, but
TikTok because they got all the spy information from that balloon they sent, basically, is what I'm hearing.
that's the joke?
But why? Like, why do we make our... And this is like a dumb joke, I say, but... And just correct...
It is dumber than the last one? Or?
Correct any parts of what I'm saying is dumb here, but... Like, why do they make our shoes and phones and viruses for us if we're enemies with China? I hear people talk bad. You know, when people trash China, they'll say the CCP. Like I always say Zionist because I don't blame Judaism for what Israel does. I say Zionist. And I don't hear people say they don't like Chinese people. Like, I don't like the CCP. And that's like the kind of way of saying it. But we do a lot of trade with them. So I'm just bewildered. Like, we're back in Wuhan making viruses again, as far as I know. Isn't that...
Yeah.
We're back in Wuhan making viruses again, as far as I know.
Yes, yes, we are.
So how are we...
Yes, we are. Sure. I guess this is the China they don't want you to see. JB Font, there's a video that he's playing behind there. And also, did these assholes realize that times and information changes? That there was a period to which we had a vested interest in. China had low-wage workers. We could move a lot of stuff over there. They made a lot of things inexpensively. We could grow our standard of living while helping them get out of poverty. And then the CCP decided, under Xi Jinping's leadership, to flip the script entirely and use it as a control point in the same way that, you know, we might have gotten oil from some countries and had a deal with them for a while, but then they decided to use it as a weapon to control our politics going forward. And it's the circumstance of oil and gas in our cars hasn't changed, but who's in charge of where we get it from should matter, right?
They are enemy, but we do that there. That I like. No one's ever really explained to me how that works.
Well,
fucking hell, really? And they're going to explain it. I think I did a fairly good job. That times and circumstances of the leadership have changed, and we're moving away from that. The other thing is slave cotton. Bad. Just going to throw that out there. Yeah.
Well, the United States had a plan for China. The plan was when the United States normalized with China, that it would push China to become a so-called Western-style democracy. That by integrating China into the world market, dividing it from the Soviet Union, essentially create
bullshit. This is Danny Haiphong. He's a CCP shill. But no, like that didn't end up being the goal. We looked the other way. They switched over. They decided that capitalism was a better function for them to run the country under the CCP. The CCP didn't roll up their fucking communism because we made them or there was a threat of we're going to yank our factories out of there. As a matter of fact, like American businesses, worldwide businesses couldn't get over there fast enough because everybody was under the impression that even if you didn't agree with what the government was doing, this is an opportunity for China to make money and from that maybe be part of the greater global community. And they had a lot of people who were starving and this was one of the ways you could do this and yada, yada. That's decades of that shit. Again, when the leadership changes, it matters.
A huge rift in the socialist bloc that this would be the downfall of not just the Soviet Union, but also China in China's model of socialism. This was
Yeah, and again, clearly the Soviet Union is doing awesome right now.
ultimately the plan. The problem is that China didn't want to play ball in that way. So what China did was it said, yes, we want to be part of the world economy. We don't want to be sanctioned. That's what would have been the reality for China, that China wasn't recognized, the People's Republic of China from 1949.
Yeah, that's not a sanction. You're just not bringing anything to the fucking table. How is a completely communist country that has an entirely internalized economic system that needs to import 80 to 85% of its food and energy part of the world economy? What do you got to give in exchange for that stuff? Now, if you're going to seize it, that's war. But if you don't want to if you want to trade for that stuff, you got to have something to trade for it, right? And to get that, they had to offer something to the world. Good Lord.
To 1971 at the United Nations because the United States wouldn't allow it. The Republic of China, based in what was in Formosa, now Taiwan, was recognized as the government of China, even though they were the loser nationalist party that got kicked out for being far too amenable to Japanese and U.S. empire. So,
which there wouldn't be a China at all if the U.S. hadn't stopped the Japanese in Chongqing, which is where they made their final stand as the Nationalist Party. And also, Taiwan's a thriving country with more rights than Chinese people experience almost anywhere else except the United States and Canada.
When this happened, China said, we are going to be part of the world economy. We have a lot of workers and laborers here. We can develop ourselves and you can make massive profits because our labor is going to be very cheap because we're very poor here. But
is that what they said? They said, hey, you guys can make stuff here because we're very poor here. That's the way they sold it.
We are not going to allow you to keep us poor. We're not going to let you turn us into some kind of neo-colony, which is what most of the global South ended up becoming during the age of U.S. What is it called? The New American Century, the IMF, all of that.
Japan took them down. Yeah.
This is exactly.
Sorry, Japan went what?
We're not going to let you turn us into some kind of neo-colony, which is what most of the global South ended up becoming during the age of U.S. What is it called? The New American Century, the IMF, all of that.
Japan took them down. Yeah.
This is exactly what happened. And China was very aware that this was...
Sorry, is he under the impression that we control Japan?
Going to be the plan. So what they did is say, well, no, we will open up, but it's going to have to be fair. This is what you hear it all the time, Kurt, Jimmy, you hear it all the time. What does Mike Pompeo, what does Marco Rubio, what do they always say? China's stealing our things. China is stealing our ideas, our patents, all this. No, what China said was, if you enter into a venture with our companies get to learn and understand what you are doing. This is just business.
No, that's not the same thing. It's not to learn and understand. Copying what somebody else does exactly and making it. If you're making Louis Vuitton purses during the day, and then when the factory shuts down at 6 o'clock, a new group of people come in with the same fabric, the same machines, and make knockoff Louis Vuitton purses. They're not learning how to make purses to better their country. As a matter of fact, there's no advancement in any of these areas. The only areas where China has had any growth in technology, where they've taken what they've gotten from another company and actually built upon it, is surveillance. Why the fuck do you think drones are such a big part of the Chinese consumer economy? Why DJI was such a big addition? Why, if you wanted a drone, it was going to be made in China? Because they saw it as a primary way of spying on their own people. It was cheap. It was cheaper than guys in helicopters.
In order for you to use our capital, our labor, whatever it is,
not using your capital, and they're paying for the labor. You guys are just taking the other, not him, the CCP.
To
he's talking out of his ass.
Your side of the profits. Well, we want to learn. We want to understand what's going on. So they do. They learn. But it's still up to the Chinese people to do it better. It's still up to the Chinese people to compete and to form their own businesses. So that.
Yeah. Right. And that happened.
That's what happened. And then
No, it didn't.
China ended up doing better, and China ended up building businesses and companies in industries and moving fast. And
Like,
now the United States is falling behind in so many different industries. You see this in electric vehicles. The United States is way
They have flying
behind.
cars in China now.
the cars in China fly. Look how upset Kurt is. Yeah, they got flying cars over there. Lots of them.
Yeah,
China has flying cars. Are you joking?
Yeah,
I went there,
China-
dude. I went there. You're right about the homeless thing. At the time, this is just before Trump got in, and they kind of liked him, by the way, when I was there, because he's like a businessman. That's how
people do
what
like
Chinese people.
Trump in China.
Yeah, they liked that. They had no problem with anything the way liberals here talk about Trump.
Yeah, because they don't believe in gay rights or women's rights the way we do. They don't sweat any of the shitty parts of him. They certainly aren't pro-immigrant.
But the thing I noticed, and I was curious about, because a lot of people just always wore masks from the bird flu days. And I used to make a joke about this when I got back.
Yeah, apparently this is all about jokes Kurt has workshopped, but they never really got anywhere. They never really landed, or what's the phrase? Ended up being funny.
I was like, this is like being in Blade Runner, like I went to the future. And sure enough, it was the future, except I guess we don't have we don't have flying cars like China, just mask people. So that COVID response, I saw the video.
Also, what fucking flying car? Okay, look. One of the things that we had that was a problem with this asshole and Jimmy flipping out about the drones was the fact that a bunch of these are VTOLs. These are like American, like vertical takeoff and landing personal aircraft that are made over here. American companies, or they're made in Europe. These guys, hold on. These 5 VTOLs let you fly around without a pilot's license. The Jetson 1, Rise Recon, that's that guy. The Doroni H1 is a 2-seater. Carries about 500 pounds or whatever. They're delivering in 2025. What fucking flying cars I've been to China. I was in China right before COVID, not 10 years ago. There were no flying fucking cars.
Videos of people howling out of their. I know Chinese like their overall government. When they poll them, they tend to like the top and be.
Because they're being polled within earshot of an evil uncle or by the government itself.
Mad at local government when they're mad, which I'm all for that, by the way. But with COVID, like here, it was a nightmare, and Canada was a nightmare. Okay, and
is this motherfucker going to say that they only had 4,000 deaths in China?
I was the impression that like they had poured a lot of Chinese to Canada to help write that, because WEF liked the control mechanism of people being on lockdown and stuff. But like I said, I only know what I heard here. So how do you think they handled COVID? Because here, I wasn't real thrilled with how they handled it.
You mean the part where they were welding people into their apartments?
Well, in China, when I've been there, and I'll just speak briefly on this and then conclude my point. In China, I think there were a lot of frustrations over time.
Yeah, frustrations over time.
Because it's hard to lock down. It's hard to close the economies. I know in Shanghai, the frustrations were probably the highest. But truthfully, in China, the biggest priority and concern, regardless of what our feelings may be about the virus itself and what happened here and what happened especially in the West, the biggest concern was ensuring that like older people and things like that and people like that, vulnerable people, didn't die. So people were actually, even though they knew, no one's happy about the massive inconvenience and the problem.
Oh, massive. I see. Danny Haiphong. Massive inconvenience. Let's see. I think there's another. Let's see. Let's see. Matt, let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to see. Let's go. Let's see.
A Beijing apartment building has recently been sealed by welding it shut with all the residents trapped inside in order to contain a CCP virus outbreak. A video has circulated on the internet showing epidemic control staff welding shut an entire apartment building in Beijing.
It's, you know what? It's a little frustrating. A little bit of inconvenience.
Apparently to prevent the residents from leaving the building after a resident was found to have been infected with the CCP virus. The video.
How about, let's see, this is there. As China grapples with COVID surge, reports emerge residents being locked inside their homes. They weld bars in front of the windows, or in front of the doors, so they can't get out. Yeah, just sealed in there. Yeah, people hanging out, you know, going through some stuff. Let's see. There's a little bit of frustration. As China stands firm on its zero COVID policy, Jinnan residents were pushing down barricades while being pushed back by guys in fucking spacesuits. It's, you know, it's a little frustrating. It's just little bits like, look, some things are just, this is the future. Say what you will about jokes that Kurt used to think he might tell eventually if he ever found out how to make them funny. But life over there was way better than it was over here. You know what I mean? Because this...
Protests were relatively small set of
享有的各项合法权利和自由依法得到充分保障。与此同时，任何权利和自由都要在法律框架内行使。
Any rights and freedoms must be exercised within the confines of the law, which is you don't have any. You don't have any protections. How about, remember this good one? These are all the people screaming in Shanghai.
这个个来叫，好了，终于来人。
This is real screaming.
所有人都在叫。
Everyone's screaming. Video of people in Shanghai screaming from the balconies is widely shared on social media.
就刚刚
Just
5分钟前
5
头，
minutes ago, there
俺
were
们
only a few
叫完没几
screaming.
个了，现在突然之
Now
间，
suddenly everyone's screaming.
所有人都叫了，要死！
Damn. They've been locked down since March.
要命了！再这样弄下去，我跟你讲，
If
真
this
的要差不
persists,
去。
bad things will happen. Guess what?
麻烦。
Bad things did happen. You know what? But what was Danny Haiphong saying about this?
What our feelings may be about the virus itself and what happened here and what happened especially in the West. The biggest concern was ensuring that like older people and things like that and people like that, vulnerable people, didn't die. So people were actually, even though...
Yeah, they were really worried about them not dying, as opposed to not spreading it if they had it and just dying and getting it over with.
They knew, you know, no one's happy about the massive inconvenience and the problems that
the massive inconvenience
occurred from it. Overall, I think they supported the government and still do. But you know what? China's response, one of the things, even though I don't think there could be a good response to something like this, the fact is that China was able to recover and bounce back far faster than anyone else.
No, they weren't. The United States bounced back faster than anyone else, period. China's way behind, and they're... Hold on. One second. News. Is China's GDP growth only 2%? Donald Trump might want to find out. If you think you're having a bad spell at work, spare a thought for economist Gao Shanwen. A month ago, he was the high-profile chief economist at state-owned SDIC Securities and a serious player in mainland financial circles. Today, he's arguably as high-profile as an economic villain as you'll find in President Xi Jinping's orbit, and he's since been silenced, according to Wall Street Journal. Gao Sin saying that China may have grown just 2% over the last 2 or 3 years, less than half the rate Xi's government claims. The reason Gao is allegedly being silenced for shining a brighter than usual spotlight on one of the biggest perception problems facing Xi's Communist Party, that China routinely cooks the GDP books. Claims on Friday that China grew 5% in 2024, exactly as Xi's government said it would. That's weird, isn't it funny? Probably had many economists thinking about Gao's warnings. Beijing statisticians point to rising exports and private sector investment in new sectors, factories and equipment. But the giant headwinds slam the economy, especially a property crisis fueling deflation, can make China's official growth data seem fanciful. It's a lovely word for it. The chilling effect from Team Xi actively muzzling negative or contrarian views might only intensify Wall Street debates on whether China is uninvestable, nor has the Xi era been good to local and international journalists trying to tell the real story about China Inc. It's harder, though, to censor messages coming from the bond market. Since January 1st, yields on Chinese sovereign 10-year debt dropped to all-time lows. That opened an unprecedented 300 basis point rate gap with U.S. treasuries, despite a slew of economic stimulus measures from Beijing. 300 basis point rate gap with U.S. treasuries. And supposedly $1.4 billion. Wait, is YouTube back up again? Or did we drop out again? Son of a dog doodle. Hold on. Son of a... Okay, we're in there. Just have to. Oh, I see. I've got to restart this. I got to reload on there. And fuck you. Whoops. Oh, fine. There we go. So we're on. YouTube's doing all right, right? There we are. Yeah. Okay. Couldn't see him in there. Sorry. My my YouTube chat stuff wasn't coming up. Anyways, so minimum of 30 million dead from COVID. China's economic growth is 2%, not 5%. And it's probably about the same size as Japan's, but with 3 times the people.
And I think the big reason for that was the government was ready and able and willing to ensure that people's livelihoods were not decimated through the crisis. And that's a big difference from the United States, where
what?
We saw so many people lose their jobs, their homes, their businesses, whatever it may be.
Wait, this asshole thinks businesses didn't disappear during lockdown and during COVID in China?
Because of the fact that the government said, okay, we're going to respond to this, but guess what? You're SHIT out of luck once it happens and after the fact. And, I don't think we've actually ever recovered from that economic crisis, contrary to what the Biden administration says. So,
yeah, we have.
Overall, though, China has learned how to do business.
Yeah, Trump style. Just lie about it. There we go. Here's this one. Let's just take a look at a few of these things. What did he just say? Real quick, Danny Haiphong. What was that?
Your shit out of luck once it happens and after the fact. And, I don't think we've actually ever recovered from that economic crisis, contrary to what the Biden administration says. So, overall, though, China has learned how to do business from the capitalist market, from the U.S. dominated capitalist market. And it ended up building an economy through various industries that, because it has a government, and people think this is bad, Marco Rubio, these guys, who knows what Donald Trump will say when he's finally in office, but it's unfair, right? Janet Yellen, it's unfair. Government subsidies. This is exactly what the United States did.
Right.
During-
No, not right. But let's jump in. They know how to do business. China's worst deflation was in industry as supply gut persisted. Industrial prices fell 2.3% last year, steepest of all sectors. Economy on track for longest deflation streak in decades. China's deflationary pressures were most severe in its industrial sector for a second straight year, and a sign of deep imbalance between supply and demand that's driving prices lower across the economy and inflaming trade tensions. Industry, which mainly consists of manufacturing, recorded 2.3% fall in prices last year, the steepest drop among all sectors, according to Bloomberg calculations based on official data published Saturday. Real estate and transportation trailed closely behind. Well, I'm sure that's fine. Oh, wait. China's economy faces a historic shock not seen in over half a century. China could be facing its longest deflationary cycle since the 1960s. It's been warned as policymakers pin their hopes on the rollout of measures aimed at stimulating the world's second largest economy. Also, no. Newsweek has reached out to China's National Bureau of Statistics with an email requesting comment. China has struggled to stabilize its economy since the end of President Xi Jinping's strict zero-COVID pandemic-era lockdowns, buffeted by headwinds such as a depressed housing market, a sector that accounts for as much as 70% of household wealth. Meanwhile, low wages and economic uncertainty have kept consumers cautious, further dragging on prices. How about this one? China's cut-rate economic growth. Rosy official data masked a deepening malaise, except for exports. Beijing said Friday that China's economy in 2024 hit the official economic growth target for a year. And if you don't believe that, well, no one else does either. China's economic malaise remains one of the most pressing global challenges of the day. If you believe the National Bureau of Statistics, the economy grew 5% during the year, conveniently right on the nose for the official target of around 5%. A strong fourth quarter supposedly helped, which, by the way, didn't hit 0.01%. With an expansion of 5.4% year on year in the last 3 months after a slower middle of the year. But this was all an enormous if. Anecdotal evidence of domestic growth is thin. Demand for credit remains weak despite attempts at monetary stimulus, as does fixed investment. Government revenue has fallen as sluggish economy activity eats away tax receipts. Some local governments have resorted to paying their bills with property instead of cash. The pillars of Chinese economy are in free fall, and that's getting worse. China's been relying on manufacturing might and export engines to offset the drag from a slumping property market and keep its growth target in sight. The growing headwinds on both fronts suggest the government will need to step up support if it's to hit the goal of around 5%. Factory activity contracted for a fourth straight month in August, with sub-indexes showing deepening deflationary pressures, according to data on Saturday. Do you think any of this stuff, this information, makes it into this dumb motherfucker's skull? And please tell me that China of 10 years ago or 12 years ago or 15 years ago is the China of today. God damn, these guys are stupid.
World War II to ensure that the United States didn't end up in a Great Depression that lasted 30, 40, 50 years. Like, that's what would have happened in the United States if the U.S. government didn't say, we're going to pump our military industrial complex full of money, and we're going to allow that to ricochet all across the industries in the United States.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing as owning 50% of every major business. We didn't buy all the newspapers up and own 50% of them. We didn't buy all the car companies up and own 50% of them. We didn't own half of American manufacturing. Like, this is just dumb. There's a distinct different methodology to the U.S. recovery after a war, which was a temporary fix that didn't permeate all these different areas. It ballooned it because there was a secondary support aspect of it. The idea that any money you invested in the defense sector and the army and giving people jobs in the army, they eventually could raise a family and they'd have a kid that went to college on the GI Bill, and that kid would have a business. That rolling effect is not the same as owning 50% of that fucking kid's issues for the rest of like their business or their investments for the rest of their life. Sorry, Hal has a health issue. I do? Do I have a health issue? I mean, don't we all have a health issue? Isn't health a good issue for us to deal with?
It's the industrial heartland, and that will build jobs, and that will build what people thought was a middle class at that time. China essentially has done the same thing with its own characteristics, and now companies like BYD,
with its own characteristics,
and now its car industry, and now industries across the board just lead.
Yeah, just in industries across the board. We looked back at this a while back. Hold on, where is this? Where China's unsold cars go to die. No, it's archived, so I can't look at it. Rows and rows of abandoned electric vehicles in China. There they are. Just rideshare programs that they bought them all for, and they just sit there rotting. Look at that. It's probably just they like rural. Everybody likes rural parking. It must be a Chinese thing.
Everything. 37 out of the 44 most advanced technologies are being led by China.
Sorry, citation needed.
And the semiconductor industry, even though it's still behind technically to Taiwan and all of that, it's going to win that race eventually too, if the United States keeps shooting itself in the foot like it's doing with TikTok. If the United States bans TikTok, not only will Xiaohongshu be this huge outlet for people to learn about China, but I think that there will be a massive amounts of unrest and discontent in the United States.
Oh, why would he bring up massive amounts of unrest and discontent in the United States? Hold on. Let's go in here. Why would he bring that up specifically? That's an odd thing to bring up right now. Yeah? I don't know. Here's 8 days ago.
On January 6th, protests erupted in Pucheng, Shanxi province. A young man standing on an elevated platform blew a horn, marking the peak of the public demonstration. Thousands of people gathered and tried to break through police barricades, entering the Pucheng Vocational Education Center. Some school facilities were damaged, and the principal was assaulted. Videos from the scene show the principal becoming dizzy from the beating and eventually taking refuge in an ambulance. Footage of ransacked offices inside the school reflects the chaos that had unfolded there. The chants and clashes between police and citizens express the anger of the Chinese people, frustrated by repression and the lack of transparency from authorities.
That's 8 days ago. That's just so you know. That's 8 days ago. Whoops, sorry. Hold on. Let me grab this over. Sound of a. There we go. I need to bring this in real quick. That's 8 days ago. And then, let's see. Where's another one? Let's see. I'm trying to find the newer stuff because, we've seen a ton of stuff around, let's see. This year? Let's do that. Yeah.
Look how desolate it is now. This is the center of the Xi'an High-Tech Development Zone, right next to Science Road on Line 6 and Northwestern Polytechnical University on Line 5.
I walk
This
through so
area
many
used to
neighborhoods
be
like this.
bustling with vibrant streets and shops, but this is what it looks like today. Footage I personally shot at noon. Almost every shop is either closed or out of business, their doors tightly locked with heavy padlocks. The streets no longer have the same grandeur. Behind each entrepreneur is a family's hope and support, and their own dreams from the past. While I don't encourage blindly starting a business in times like these, we must respect these entrepreneurs. They're fighting for their dreams. That said, I think one way to manage this situation could be to explore online promotions or find ways to sublease the shop space to cut losses. It might be a good idea.
As the year-end approaches, regions across China are experiencing an unusual bleakness. Scenes of foreign companies withdrawing, factories shutting down, and commercial streets going bankrupt have become daily reality rather than isolated incidents. This phenomenon highlights not just challenges within the retail sector, but also signals broader signs of economic downturn. Rather, look at TV, or even the food court. As far as I know, none of these businesses are making money. The economic situation across the industry, and even the overall environment, is honestly far from ideal. If you're still thinking about opening a store and believe you're destined to succeed, or that your skills are exceptional.
Yeah, Jeanette's saying the let it rot concept, which is one of the, it's kind of the, I would say it's last year's version of the year before, which was lying flat, which was all the young people were just lying flat. They're like, over this, there you go, hold on.
And delivering 5 orders in vain. The worker, burdened by mortgage debts, struggles daily to make a living. Yet, with debts amounting to millions of yuan and monthly earnings of only a few thousand, the psychological impact of this disparity is overwhelming.
Since losing my job, I feel like I can't take it anymore. I'm becoming more and more lost, unable to change my current situation. The pressure of rent and just affording 3 meals a day is making me more...
Communist country, according to Jimmy Dore and Kurt and Danny Haiphong. Communist country, where they take care of their own and the government makes sure that everybody's got their needs are met.
More anxious by the minute. I don't even dare to call my family. I can't tell them I've been out of work for so long. I don't want to burden them with more worries. Businesses across all sectors are struggling. To be honest, physical stores are in decline and so many people are being laid off.
These are just like posts from people across...
Voiced outrage. How can a state-owned enterprise withhold wages from migrant workers, forcing someone to kneel? Aren't they ashamed? Amid the wave of support, however, many comments reflected a sense of helplessness. One user asked, as the year ends, stories like this always resurface. Labor laws are promoted every year, yet wage arrears persist. When will this cycle end?
Yeah, people don't get paid, and this one kid, yeah, it's fucking brutal.
That will only make people more curious about China and also make people more furious at the government, more than they already are. So,
yeah, please, everybody who watches Jimmy Dore and Danny Highfalutin over here, go look into China. Go for real, dig deep, look at their economic data. Don't watch a video about how bad they're doing. Go look at the official data, and then go look at the bond market, and then go look and I don't know, use ChatGPT and go, hey, what happens when your bonds invert this quickly over time? What does that show? Does that mean the economy's doing great or not? What are the export numbers and the import numbers from China? How much of China's energy and food does it import? Go find that at, like, again, don't trust me. Don't even trust the fucking China show guys. Serpent ZA and Lao I-86. Don't just trust stuff. Go look for your fucking self. Go find a Reddit China page that's not actually a front for the CCP, where somebody's actually posting videos from there.
Donald Trump, I think, he's already thinking twice about this. He better think 2, 3, 4, 5 times about it before going through with it, because it would be a disaster for his administration.
Through getting rid of TikTok?
Well, Danny, I have a million more questions to ask you about,
And don't worry, he'll give you the same answer for everyone, Jimmy.
but we ran out of time. We have to get to our next guest. I want to say thanks for coming on. It's always informative to have you on. I need to know way more about China than I know.
Dude. Jimmy, I can't fucking stand you, but I'll set you straight on the whole goddamn thing. You won't believe me, but I'll tell you the truth, you dumb motherfucker.
Let's go, Jimmy. Let's go.
I wouldn't mind. Well, you know what? Look how pretty the city is. Watch.
Oh, motherfucker. Really?
Turn.
What city is that?
I don't know what city that is,
It's Shanghai.
but it's wow.
That's the Bund in Shanghai. It's made to look like London.
It looks fantastic.
It does. It all the lights on, you wouldn't even realize no one's in any of the offices.
Look at that city.
Yeah, it's just wow. It's amazing. It's like look at Las Vegas. Boulder City and Reno must be enormous.
Anyway, so
By the way, that's the international city. That's the city that foreign countries came in and built entire sections of.
I'm sorry, we got Danny muted. Go ahead, you could. Go ahead, Danny. What city is that?
Yes. That's
Shanghai.
Shanghai.
What is it?
I went played there. That was a good city. It was like New York. They had a Ben's, the same pizza place by the cellar. They had a location in Shanghai.
No kidding.
Yeah, I didn't have any
no.
bad food when I was there. I had like, it was actually hard to get Chinese food. I got hot pot. That's all we could get, really, and everything else was like pretty high end stuff that I got.
Yeah.
Really? You saw only the nice part of town and you ate the highest end food and you didn't really slum it outside of the city? Let me guess. You flew in, stayed in town, and you fucked off?
No, it's a beautiful city. The Bund is beautiful. The Huangpu River, you can like ride on a boat. It's a really beautiful place.
Yeah, don't touch the water with your hand, though.
I mean,
especially at night, there's light shows.
It looks kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's massively packed every night.
No, it's not. Fuck me. Hold on. Now it's making me mad. Now I gotta look at it. All right, I'm gonna have to go back through my fucking iPhotos to the China trip. Managed China mainland. Okay. Where are we? Let's see. I need to find. Yeah, that's 2018. So. Here I am. That's me on the Bund, kids. That's our film crew. Everybody in that crew right there knows somebody who's lost somebody in their family to COVID. We filmed all over the fucking place. And let's see, hold on. I'm going to show you. Where are we? We took one of the bullet trains. There you go. It's one of the stations. Oh my God, look at the station. It's so clean. And there's the Bund. Oh, fuck you. There it is. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Bund right there. It's with the lights on and all that. Does it look? Imagine a city of millions of people, far more than like all lit up. 6 times the population of New York City, of Manhattan. And look at the open spaces. That's me on there's me on the boat. That's one of the boats that we took. We did the boat on the fucking on the river there across. Look how think of being on a fucking ferry during the normal hours in New York. Let's see. Yeah. We didn't clear the ground. This is on the Bund, right at the height of things. This would be a normal period when there's lots of people out and stuff. Can you imagine walking through Times Square and only seeing that many people? Because that's what that fucking place is. That's Times Square, New York. But if New York had allegedly 3 times the population in Manhattan alone. Here's another place we went. It was a winery you could go to. Sorry, it's green, so the green screen's cutting out. Notice the total lack of fucking people walking around. Here's the rest of the city. This is where it looks really fucking normal. There's me having dinner with some fucking influencers who are there and are this is probably one of the restaurants that Kurt went to. There's the chef who made me the pizza that made me sick. There I am in my suit with my guys doing out there on the front of it. There's the area, there's the city seeing train. There's me with a bunch of fucking birds around me, probably getting bird flu. This guy had a shop in Shanghai that he's had forever. He's an architect. And I interviewed him. He's lived there for a long time. He built up some of the stuff around there to look like a section of like London in the British area. And we filmed in all these places. It looks really cool. But it's all basically a fucking film set. Like, there's nobody back there. I went to so many of these fucking places, and like parts of it look really cool, and then parts of it are just fucking empty. And this is New York. This is supposed to be... this is when I went to this one billionaire who has an office, and he has this little theater in his office where you could sit and that's where we're like sort of stationing our shot. Where we interviewed this one guy, and that's the guy who had a lot of money, and he was like, I was like, what's it like working over here? And he says, making money is easy, making friends is impossible. That's what the dude said. The guy who owns this place, the bridge, which is all fancy in Shanghai, empty as fuck. Nobody was there. Brutal. Let's see. That's me making street food with a lady who makes jianbing, this egg sandwich thing, serving it to everybody. There I am eating it out front of the place. This is fuck. Like here you go. This is behind the place. This is what the majority. Here's the mall. Sorry. This is the mall. This is the part they wanted us to see. This is what the streets look like where we actually were. Like right next to this lady's shop where she made the jianbing. I went into her little place. To get there, I walked down this little alleyway to her back area, and she fucking sweeps that thing every goddamn day. Oh, hey, what do you know? This is the green energy place. You can't see the tank because it's painted green. Remember what I was telling you guys about the fucking bullshit recycling thing that we went to? That's the tank. You can see through it because it's green, because I have a green screen on. But that's where I climbed up and knocked on the fucking thing. That's where all of us were like, right. Yeah, that's inside the processing facility. I want to see if they have the poor guy watching the shit. Yeah, I got pictures of that elsewhere. Oh, fuck. This was in the library. This is the world's biggest library. You know what makes it a library? They call it that. It's got no books. Capitol riot. Trump pardons roughly 1,500 criminal defendants charged with genocide. Capital. Yeah, of course he is. He's gonna, but not the ones that are in jail. He's pardoning the ones that got. Yeah, here it is. See this? It's the world's biggest library. Look at the shelves. The walls are just shelves. See that right there? We're doing a walkthrough right there. These are supposedly bookshelves all the way up to the ceiling. The books are painted. Those aren't real books. Such a fucking strange place. Yeah, like this is for the interview that I did. We're blocking the camera for that part. But this is supposed to be like the world's biggest library, and those shelves just go miles all around. Not a single fucking book. All just the edges of books painted on them. So, anyways, yeah, here's a big picture of it. It's got this big ball in the middle of it. It's very cool looking, but it's not a fucking library. Yeah, you could see it probably better on this shot right there. See how he's framing it? Look at the shelves behind him. Those are paintings, the books. People are just sitting around. Nobody's reading. You notice that? You notice that, like, it's not like somebody comes down and you pull a book out of the shelf and just sit there and fucking read. It's horseshit. It was crazy. It was so mind-bogglingly odd. Oh, shit. So this place, this was the Eco City place that I tell you guys about, where we went there and they had all the trash goes where it's supposed to go, and you put the whatever, like your plastics go down one tube and your paper goes down another, and they're automatically separated and all that kind of stuff. And they live in these two buildings, one on the either side, and then there are stores in the bottom. So over here and over here, there are stores, okay? They're empty. There's fucking nobody. There's like 8 people walking around this fucking thing. That's me taking a picture. Now, hold on. Stretch this out. So up here is like Chinese characters, you know, from Chinese lore, right? On top of this thing. Isn't that cool? And then Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. And then the 7 dwarfs for some reason. And then Peter Pan and Wendy and the boat. I have no fucking idea what the hell is going on. But that giant sculpture is just like Disney characters leading up to these fucking classic Chinese characters on this, and it's huge. It's so stupid. That's me standing there in front of it. That's how big it is. It's a fucking farce. It's the weirdest thing. So this thing down here in the corner, that's the little store, right? And there's no one working in it. You don't work in this. You walk in and you pay with because they know it's you. You live in the building. You have a card that allows you to live in the building, and you shop in that thing, and it automatically you pay for it. That's the fucking thing. It's the black part is the big green tank, the recycling thing. That's their mock-up of how it works. They showed us a little model, like, this is how it works. And it doesn't fucking work at all. There's me making dumplings. There's me on the Great Wall of China. Here's the tower that they spent close to $1 billion on, and it's falling over, and they haven't finished the top of it. It looks like a rocket, but you're going to die. Here's another picture of the bookshop, and you can see, there you go. You walk in, that was our opening shot of like, wow, isn't this amazing? And then, you try not to laugh because it's fucking weird. So I don't want to hear from these fuckheads about China. I don't want to hear shit. And I love the Chinese people, and I love Chinese culture, and it was just fucking sad to see like it bastardized and sold and rebranded by the government, making it look like this farce, and all these people are just living these desperate lives trying not to fuck up in front of anybody that will turn them in. It was like, Jesus Christ. It was like it was like being a Red Cross volunteer that got access to Auschwitz, and they walk you around, and you can tell they're making everybody stand up and look healthy, like give everybody a chicken leg and tell them not to bite it. And that's what's happening, and you can't ask them, hey, what's going on? Is this safe and healthy? Are they treating you right? And if they say no, they'll die, so they just keep their fucking mouth shut. There's me self-filming on the fucking Great Wall of China. Walking the whole fucking route. With, just, and years and years and years of this. Like several years of going out You know, and the biggest crowd we ever encountered was our own crew all the fucking time. I went to a rock club where this like knockoff Cranberries Chinese band was playing. I went to this giant theater. There was no one in the entire complex, so we got to walk around in it. We watched this show in that place later on. And even bust-in audience, there was nobody. These are at some of the like the tourist sites. Again, like these places with the volume of human beings that are supposedly there, they should be like huge. Like you should not be able to move if the numbers are what they say they are. What's the... Try to find something that isn't the director sitting around. Hold on. Go back to here. I mean... Let's see. Yeah, a lot of the shopping districts look like this. They're meant to look like colloquial Chinese villages and that kind of stuff. But you'll notice up in the corner, they all have these big secondary air conditioning units put on the outside of them. And they're not the original buildings. They're not like these classic Chinese buildings like they look like they are. They're just plaster. So you go up and you touch the rock and it's just imprinted on the wall like fake brick in a comedy club. The whole fucking place. Just crazy. That was 2018, 2019, right before COVID. Interviewed this traditional Chinese dressmaker dude in his shop. He does great work, but for only like the super rich. There's a big picture of Teddy Roosevelt in this bar we went to. They had a place called the President's Room because they knock off everything, which is super weird. There's another shot of Shanghai. Here's a picture of Shanghai. Obviously, it's because of the green screen. It's hard to tell or whatever, but it's daytime. It's quite hazy in the daytime. That's why they put the lights on all night long. One of the reasons why the lights are constant is because it looks hazy during the day, so it looks better to shoot it at night. It's like this wine bar place that we went to that they took us to. This is one of the shopping district areas, and we shot inside the stores because if we shot out on the street, there just weren't enough people to make it look crowded. And again, 1.4 billion people, that's what you're supposed to... Fuck me. My show was supposed to be for Chinese tourism. It was like Phoenix Television was supposed to be this independent thing. We were supposed to have the right to shoot whatever we want and go anywhere we wanted, and they were very open and all that kind of stuff. Turned out to be complete bullshit.
Every single night you go to the Bund, there are hundreds of thousands, millions of people.
No, there are not. No, there are not. I just fucking showed you. This is 2 years ago, or well, it was like 8 months before COVID, is when that was. So 4 years ago, 5 years ago. No, there's not, and the numbers haven't gone up since then. There's even less people showing up now.
Middle of that square.
Let me just
right by the river.
Before I say goodbye and we bring on Max Blumenthal, this guy Nathaniel says, "Have fun under constant video, social, and economic surveillance. If that's the price you're willing to pay for a comfortable life, you should probably move there. You don't deserve a constitutional republic." And this guy says, "Sounds like being on Facebook."
Wait, I live in that now.
I live in that now.
No, you do not. You do not. You think you do. And there's a huge difference between Facebook tracking what the fuck you're doing and trying to sell you like your buying habits to somebody else, and actually having people that if you fuck around, a van will pull up next to you, yank you in, and you're gone. It shows what kind of like blind, idiotic privilege these dumb motherfuckers have, that they actually think that. You know how lazy and fucking stupid you have to be to believe that you live under the same thing that Chinese people do? Like, why don't you just walk up to a Falun Gong person and go, dude, I don't even know why you came here. You're probably better off in China.
Oh, when I went to China, I didn't think I lived in that. And I was like, in
You did. You were being followed. You had a minder.
the future, I will. But, you know, even that social credit system that people trash, it's not like here the way it would be done. They're
Tell us how the social credit system in China is done. And if we did it here, we'd be way worse.
cops don't have guns, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
I was like, in the future, I will. But, you know, even that social credit system that people trash, it's not like here the way it would be done. Their cops don't have guns, okay?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they do. They have automatic weapons. What? The cops don't have. What in the fuck? Let's see. Mean like this guy? Yeah, the China, they don't even, he can shoot around corners. There's their bomb disposal robot. It also does litter in its spare time. That's one of their, those are their vehicles. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. Of course they have guns.
people that break the, you know, Ari Shaffir was out there when they had that sewer oil street noodle, you couldn't eat street noodles. So how are you going to bust those crimes? That's why they started doing that the most. You know, like you'll hear that.
What, hold on. You think sewer oil street noodles that they use the social credit score to bust those crimes? They don't bother. They don't do anything about it.
MMA guy, I think it was pretty screwed up how they did him, but I've already seen 20 of those here in America. I can't even point at China and go, oh, we don't do that. We do it like worse.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they don't. Like, what? How in the hell? Oh, let's see. Let's see. Let's see if this is. I don't know why this. Let's see. Here's Chinese police doing drills, anti-terrorism combat drills, and for busting places and running and carrying their weapons because they are part of the PLA. They're part of the People's Liberation Army. They are not officially, there's no distinction between police officers and military. They're the same because the police don't work for the citizenry. They work for, they work for the CCP. The People's Liberation Army is not the Chinese army.
So, all right, we got to run. But Danny, thank you so much again. We'd love to talk. I mean, I don't want to talk about this for another half hour, but we got to go. Everybody,
but you can only get so dumb so quickly. Jesus. All right, I got to run. By the way, myself, tomorrow I have the Ultimate Jam Night, so I'm probably gonna leave early in the morning, and I got a lot of singing to do this week, so I probably won't do a show in the afternoon. There's a chance I might if I feel like bringing the gear and doing all that kind of stuff, but most of the time it's right around the time I would do sound check, and then I've got to sing again on Friday, so you'll forgive me if I probably beg out tomorrow. Well, plenty of stuff to cover, I have no doubt, on Wednesday, both in the morning. Phil will join us, and then in the afternoon. So until then, I love you guys. Please, please, please do not let these assholes hijack your sense of well-being, because they don't have any idea what the fuck they're talking about. They don't have any idea what the fuck is going on. and they're not going to get smarter and better at this, but we can. Oh God! Sometimes the stupid, it just like gives me a cramp.